Hello everyone, welcome. My voice is back. I was sick for the longest time. I was sick. But we're back. We're back. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me? 안녕하십니까. I know, GS. So we're gonna talk about that. Everyone was seeing a triangle. I don't think so, man. That's why I don't follow the crowd. I'm not a sheep. I don't complicate these patterns, man. The LA wave theory, you don't have to complicate it. No, I don't use exo charts. Let's hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hit that like button. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing good? It's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen here. Where in Gyeonggi-do, man? Gyeonggi-do is big. Gyeonggi-do is big. Gwangju, okay. Tesla, I don't know. I haven't checked it. I think it's actually going up, right? S&P went up a lot. Ooh. Yeah, it looks bullish, huh? Might have to remove this. Looks like a triangle's breaking out now, huh? Man, this would be a huge breakout if this happened. If this E is truncated. Oof. Oof, baby. But having this as a termination point as a triangle, it just seems a little odd. I'd rather have it extended a little bit longer. That was my anticipation. I mean, if it breaks up, it breaks out of this, retest it, I might get back in. Otherwise, this would be the biggest fake out. And this is the A, B, and then we're going down for a C. Because it still looks corrective. I mean, if this turns into a 3-wave or a 5-wave move, get that 1-2 pullback, boom. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone going? Make sure to hit that like button. We'll start when we get 40 likes. 40 people in here. 23 likes. We need 40. Yeah, if we got time, I'll look into some altcoins. Make sure to hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. We need 10 more likes and we'll start. These are my gains. 1.5 mil. 1.5. If we go all the way back in history, I bought Nvidia at 167, Apple at 39, Tesla at 8. Guess what? I only bought 2,600 of them. I would be a billionaire if I bought more. Facebook is now just catching up. Apple bought at $39. Bought AMD at 12. Talk about the mastery behind picking the right stocks. It's all on public record. Tesla. Man, 3.1 mil. 3.1 mil on my Tesla gains. I might have to get back in if this is gonna be a breakout. It's gonna be a big one. Think about this. You hold Tesla at $8 and you sell at peak 1,200. TPO, delta profile, harmonic patterns, all useless. Maybe intraday trading. Even harmonics, man. I studied it a lot, but it's quite useless. It's only useful in like FX markets. Markets have to be quite stable. You're either in Bitcoin or you're not. And that is the best tip I can give you guys. You're either in it or you're not. Or you're either betting against it or you're not betting against it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get that likes. Let's hit that like button. 5 more likes and we'll start the live stream. Yo, yo, yo. It's your boy, X-Force Global, back in the house. His voice is back. Ha, 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 ha. His voice is back. I was sick for a long time. Ha, 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 ha. All right, so back on the table here, we're gonna talk about Bitcoin and see what kind of options we have for this current price action. Y'all talking about a triangle and all that crap here, like you're thinking like it's gonna go into like a consolidation before a blast up. You guys are focusing too much on the shorter time frames. Ha, broke the previous high. Anyways, welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new here. This has been quite a long time. It's been about a month since we've done a live stream, right? So we're going to get into the Bitcoin price action, probably get into some altcoins, maybe take some requests depending on my mood. So depending on the engagement mostly. So if you guys want to see some altcoin requests, you guys talk about it in the chat. Talk about what you guys are seeing for Bitcoin, you know, try to keep that engagement up, and then we'll maybe go over some interesting altcoins. So let's talk about Bitcoin first. Now, good news, right? We broke the previous high as we anticipated. We anticipated the breakout. Now, we've been talking about this for quite some time. A lot of people were talking about like some kind of triangle being built up for a possible wave Y. You know how many times I've said those are big no-nos. Even me as an advocate and a certified Elliottician who talks about, you know, combos and all this and all these obscure patterns for all the general traders out there, forget about them. They're great educational perspectives, but they can't be applied. I mean, they could be applied theoretically, but practically, we just haven't seen enough of these types of patterns playing out, okay? Just stick with the simple 5s and 3s, maybe add a complex correction in there like WXYs. Flats, very common in Bitcoin. We've seen them happen over and over. So whatever statistically we have on hand, that's what we have to be utilizing. What kind of patterns and what kind of distribution patterns are going to be playing out for Bitcoin. And overall, for the past 6,000 years since Bitcoin has been trading, we've had distribution patterns that either shot up or shot down. You're either in a bull market or you're in a bear market. There's no in-betweens in my opinion. You're either in some kind of distribution phase before you actually continue the bear market or bull market trend. Stop talking about WXY, XZs and all that crap here. I add them to my, you know, analysis, but they're just more of an educational perspective, right? So what do we have here? We're still working on the idea that we're seeing a possible wave 3-4 being complete here, right? Of a higher degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We said that we don't want to be extending this wave 4. It's just unlikely to have a wave 4 extend in time here. especially with this wave 2. We've pretty much hit 101 in terms of time for this current wave 4. So that's why I've been talking about for the past few months that this wave 4, even though we've created a new price extreme, we're going for possibly higher levels, right? So that's how I'm currently seeing it. I'm still seeing higher levels. Now, the shorter time frames, I'm sure you guys are very interested in, right? So what is the shorter time frames telling us? Well, we got two options now. And this first option is the extremely bullish idea, which is now starting to come up into my radar, back on our radar actually, which is where we have wave 1 and 2 terminated already. So if we have these wave 1, 2 already terminated, we're looking for a primary wave 3 in play right now, right? And we're looking for whatever hierarchy of degree to be playing out to finally show what, how, and how this impulse is going to be completing. Now, we've had opportunity to end this impulse here. Now, our next opportunity is going to be somewhere around here, right? Where the previous high is, and we do have a little bit of more resistances to kind of overcome. So the biggest thing is, are you going to be shorting it if you're seeing this as a three-way move and then move it down? Or are you seeing this as a new impulse to the upside where you're going to be kind of faithfully, hopefully, anticipating that this is the flat idea and then we're working for finally the wave 3. This is going to be the most profitable wave, right? So you're now either position. If you are in this position right now for a long, congratulations. You're pretty much in a very, very good spot. You have a lot of room to work with, and if you're following me, we'll go over every single step in terms of all the pullbacks, and in the fact if we do even get a pullback right now, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But for now, the current structure does seem very impulsive. It's just how it is with the current data given. Now, that can always change, whether this is going to be a connective wave of some sort. We'll see. But it was obviously not a triangle, obviously, right? So, let's see. What are we going to be talking about? This impulse idea, again, this flat idea, is going to be either an ABC or a WXY. In my opinion, I think it's a WXY. It looks just more three-wave-ish and all the corrective waves in between. This move here, 5-wave move, I mean, okay, yeah, it is what it is, right? It doesn't have the best look. It does look more three-wave-ish, and that's why this idea still is going to be in progress because we really need to be impulsing out of here. The biggest confident booster is going to be impulsing strong, have a finish great rest of the month of October, breaking this previous high. That is the last two obstacles left, and it's all green light from there, and we're going to be going for the most profitable wave of this wave 3, or at least continuing it to complete it. Now, the next idea is the idea that I was working on, the diagonal. Now, this idea is now becoming an alternative where the original idea of the expanded fly is now becoming a primary idea. Now, this idea still stands if in the case you're able to count 3 waves in here, right? Because we do have a better looking structure when you're talking about the internal structures on the shorter time frames when you take the current given data right now. Right now, we do have a possible 3-wave here. Now, this move here is a little bit tricky to count, but I do have a diagonal going to wave A and then a BC into a W, short wave X, and then a 3-wave move into a wave Y. Now, alternative, we can have this as an ABC, but really doesn't really matter. At this point, it does look like a 3-wave move. This was the opportunistic kind of move for the bears where they could have seen this as an impulse move to the downside where we had the wave 1, 2 end here. So that is looking extremely unlikely. Now we broke above this. 30-day average is now above this. So very good for the bulls here. Has shifted. The ball is in the court for the bulls now entirely. Unless we get a major fake out, right? So right now, just with the current data given, if you're basing it on hope or basing on emotions and you're seeing some possible 3-wave being the connective wave here and then you're moving it to the downside, possible. We'll talk about that idea in just a second. But for this diagonal idea, again, 3, 3, and we're going to be looking for a 3 here. The only 3-wave move that I can personally count it is we have an impulse going into wave A, B, and then C completing here. We have a W here and then an X here, and then we have a possible 3-wave move here that has to be short for this wave Y, where this wave W has extended. Now, that is not uncharacteristic of how these waves work. We have seen time after time where we've seen extended wave A's or extended wave W's, right? Or we see a short wave C or short wave W, or short wave Y rather. That is not uncommon. It's actually very common for Bitcoin. I mean, if we even pull back with the current data given here for this flat idea, we had that as the idea where it was pretty much impossible to count this as a flat. Well, we can, but this here, since it completed and terminated as a flat overall, this move here turned into an A, triangle for B, and then C. This was a short wave C where we had a long wave A. So it's not uncommon for how these work. You can still fit in a very short wave Y or a short wave B, or a short wave X or a wave B before we go back for a pullback for this wave 4, going back into a tendency zone of a wave 1. So this is how I'm currently seeing it for the diagonal idea. It's still on the table. Very, very interesting, right? We've talked about this idea, pretty much the first person to only talk about this idea. And I'm very confident in that because we've been talking about it since over here, right? Because we were able to identify the market psychology behind the 3s and the 5s, right? It was characteristic of a 3-wave here, 3-wave here, and then we were assuming that this move could have been a 3-wave even though it was lower in probability. And it's still quite low in probability if you think about it, if we do have this wave 3 coming into play still, because we really ideally want to see that pullback for that subwave 4 and then get that 5, and then we can really talk about whether a 1-2 pullback is happening. So this idea is still on the table, but for now, with the current data given, I do believe that this impulse does have a lot of merit as well. We could have a nested structure being built here for the minor degree before we finish off the intermediate degree, where wave 1 has extended. Wave 3 will also extend quite similarly, in my opinion, and then we'll have a very short wave 5, and that's the only way we can complete it, because wave 5 can't be any longer than wave 3 if this wave 1 is longer than wave 3. So that is going to be that, and then that will be the completion of the primary wave 3, 1, 2, 3, and then wave 4. Ideally, it's too early to call for at this stage a sharp wave 4 because wave 1, 2 was sideways. And at that point, at all-time highs, it's going to be characteristic and psychologically possible that we're going to see a wave 4 in a sharp rejection, and we'll get some kind of pullback, right? So that's my opinion. That's just, again, all opinions, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe that we are still working up to the upside. And then the diagonal idea is going to be just a little bit of more delayed price action before we go back to a wave 4 or 5. So the only thing I don't like about this diagonal, first of all, it's too early to call for, right? But it's coming into our favor. I mean, at least it is just what it is. I mean, a lot of people were looking for a possible triangle from an educational perspective and from a theoretical perspective. Yeah, sure, we could have had a little bit more consolidation going on, right? Because, I mean, it was consolidating since March, basically, right? We've come a long way, and a lot of people were expecting a possible W, X, Y. But again, I'm going to step out of that zone and say, against all the other eliticians, speak for them as well, that these are very, very uncommon. And just from a psychological perspective, you guys who are watching this, who are not versed in the Elliott wave theory, don't see these termination points. And I think that's something that I'm going to be bringing up. Actually, I was invited to one of the future CEWA kind of, what do you call it, questionnaire. And I'm going to be also talking about it. I'm kind of writing it up right now, my thesis on it. And basically, I'm going to be talking about how the general markets see the markets in terms of how we can reduce the subjectivity of the actual Elliott wave theory. So the only way that we can reduce it is by seeing how the general markets are looking at it. I think when you get versed in the Elliott wave theory, we get wrapped around it, the theory too much. And a lot of people think, as an elitician, that the general markets see how we see the markets. That's not how it works. In fact, quite the opposite. The general markets is what sets the market up, and then we as eliticians have to work upon that. And then we take the observations from that, create the patterns. That's no problem. But the missing step in between that, in terms of finding the patterns, is how does the market think? And I think that is the biggest thing. And right here, when you have a W and you have a wave X and you have a wave Y being built for a triangle, that's not how the general markets are seeing it. Trust me. They're not seeing this as a termination point. They're not seeing this as a termination point. And they're not seeing this as a termination point. So hopefully that makes a little more sense. The thesis around that revolves around how the general markets see the actual termination points. Right now, when we take a clean slate of the whole market, all they're seeing is this and this, right? Maybe a little bit further where they're seeing that we're seeing lower lows being created, but at the same time, we're seeing some kind of, evolving pattern here in terms of distribution, right? Is this characteristic of a bear market? Possibly, but it's not enough to say that this is a termination point and this is an important part and this is an important part, where the markets see this as an important part, where they don't see even the last final part of a wave Y as a triangle. Just doesn't. It's one of the lowest probabilities. I'm not sure why a lot of people were even advocating this. Even certified Elliotticians were actually advocating that, there's a possibility of a further consolidation. I just don't think that is a possibility, in my opinion. So that helps reduce a lot of the subjectivity, in my opinion, where, again, I think that this move here was enough to say that this is the final straw. This is not going to be broken one more time. That's a protected low. We had a very strong bounce. We had a comeback, and then we had a bounce off of here, and now this is the comeback where we see the V-shaped recovery happening after this. So this is the first initial V-shape. This is the second initial V-shaped recovery, which is characteristic of an impulse, and that is the separation of how these distributions work. We're in the impulsive distribution phase now, or the expansion phase rather. This was the distribution phase where the markets were trying to figure out whether this is corrective or impulsively moving to the downside. So that's how you should be looking at it. Very simply put. Does that make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. So this idea, again, I just don't like this in terms of how this might be extending in time. And that right there might be creating where the markets might see different termination points at that point as well. So we'll have to see how the markets react as we correct in between. That's why we want to stick with this idea possibly where this is, very bullish, and we just complete everything in simplistic fashion where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being complete. Absolutely simple. And I think that's how we should be approaching the theory in the first place. Very simple. So this is how we're seeing it. The hierarchy of degrees, we're working in the minor degree still. Maybe the minor degree is completing now, where we have that fifth wave completing very soon. And then we'll have that first wave of the intermediate degree in the orange, and we'll get that pullback for a wave 2, and that will be the next distribution kind of pullback. And again, at that point, whether you want to be bullish again, you see if you are, some kind of, bearish outcome you might see out of that and see more downside, then that's up to you. But that should be an opportunity for a DCA, in my opinion, as the pullbacks are going to be expected to be more shallow. We had the idea of a WXYXZ. I mentioned this in my previous video that this is a lower probability. Oh, it was so close to invalidation out of this picture, in my opinion. We also have the bearish option now, which is the last option left now, which is the absolute last option, because you're now betting against everything of this whole move here, where we had a 60-day move, basically, and now you're working against a 10% leeway from the previous high here, and that you may be assuming that this may be a wave 2. So if that's the case, and you're utilizing this as corrective moves, you're now seeing this as a complex structure now, where this is the first initial ABC. This is an WXY, like I've mentioned previously drawn out for you guys. And this may be the ABC, WXY, or whatever, or it can't be a WXY in a wave Y. So this has to be an ABC, meaning that this may be impulsive to the upside, where we may be completing some kind of ABC to the upside. That'll complete our wave Y. This would be the overall three-wave move. We have a lot of room left if you are still seeing this as an bullish or bearish move, but it's still there. But you're playing against the odds of all these patterns here, right? We have a large expansion of a distribution here, a lot of mess here going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going into leading expanding diagonal. No matter how rare it is, it's the only way we can see it. I don't care about how, statistically they're not rare or how much of a hit rate they have. You can sit here all day and talk about the theory, but if you're not able to practically apply it and have any conviction, then you're not going anywhere, especially for your followers, right? You want to have conviction. You can sit here all day and be an educator and all as well and talk about the 50,000 different scenarios that could be happening, but it won't give any budge in the direction of what your conviction may be. So if we boil down every bearish option, this is the only idea, and it is the remaining highest probability idea for a wave 1, 2, and then we're out of here. We can sit here all day and say this was a flat. We can sit here all day and say this is a 1, 2 in the making, and we're seeing a larger wave 3 to the downside internally. So this is the only idea left, okay? We have a WXY possibly going into that wave 2. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only options that we have remaining for the possible move. So if we summarize this, we have the possibility of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going up, and we're working for the extension primary wave 3, and we're still working with the hierarchy of degrees of the minor intermediate degree. And then we have the idea of the diagonal idea, which is still heavily on the table, because if you take into account for the internal wave structures that is moving in three-wave fashion, we could be working for a possible rejection very soon at this previous high possibly. I could sit here all day and talk about the Fibonacci's, doesn't really matter at this point. And then we can have a wave 4 pullback, 5 ABC pullback for a wave 1, 2, and that'll be a larger pullback where we come back and retest this whole distribution zone, and then we're off for a 3, 4, and then 5 to the upside, okay? So that's that, and then we have the last option, which is the bearish option right here, where we have a leading expanding diagonal, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. That's the last hope. That's the absolute last hope now. Are there any questions? Let's talk about questions now, ladies and gentlemen, for Bitcoin before we get into like Ethereum, XRP, and so forth. Let's get some engagement in. If it's going to be a dry chat today, then I'm not really going to go over any questions, or I mean any requests. No questions, huh? Okay. No problem. Let's talk about Ethereum now. Ethereum is still quite bullish. If you really look on the cycle degree and you really take into account for how the wave structures can be created and separated based on their distributions, we have a cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly for a triangle now for wave 4, and then wave 5 is going to be very short because wave 1 was highly extended, wave 3 is extended as well. So this wave 5 is going to be very swift and short. So I would expect around, around at least minimum 6K to 12K for the final move for the wave 5. So if we're seeing this as a triangle, we're looking at an ABC here, WXY into wave B, and then C is now complete as an ABC here as a normal zigzag, and this ABC possibly as some kind of diagonal going into a wave A, and then B wave, and then we're working for that impulsive move to the upside. Now where wave 3 might extend, C is going to end here anywhere, and then wave E will have another small similar retracement, and then we're off to the upside. So that's how I would see this current price action for Ethereum. We'll go over the shorter time frames in the actual Discord and also on my Patreon. So if you're not joining on my Patreon or Discord, please don't hesitate. The links are in the description below. I do go over more exclusive videos. What the heck? Neo is up. Ooh, baby. Ha, 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 ha. Neo, baby. Up 77%. Icing on the cake. Oof. My buy was at 28 bucks for carry. Ooh, baby. Sorry. Getting a little too excited here for the stock markets as well. So yeah, Ethereum is in a possible triangle here. Not bad looking. Pretty good distribution. It's pretty much the only way. I don't like to see this as a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 or whatever. Just seems more better as a distribution as 3 waves here. XRP. A lot of people are asking about XRP, right? This is going to be a massive breakout. Huge breakout. 1000% gain possibly on the table here. Now, on the shorter time frames, I'm not really interested on the shorter time frames. Could be, yeah, looking like it's possibly going for another move to the upside. 1, 2 could be complete here. But most importantly is that we did get a 70% bounce off of these lows since July, and we're still holding at lower highs being created, or higher lows rather. And even on the macro, we're having higher lows being created. I'm not sure why people are seeing this as a dead coin. This is actually, you should be thinking that it should be admirable, actually, how well XRP has been holding up since 2018. If you really think about it, it's been creating higher lows ever since 2018 for this whole distribution phase. That to me is, we haven't seen any coin do this. Any coin. No coin has done this. No coin. So that's how I see it. Someone's asking about the CME gap. Now, that is a question that does interest me. So do we have a CME gap at 53K? I doubt it. If it's not on the daily, it's not going to be a gap. Yep, we don't have a gap. You're probably seeing this on the hourly chart where we do have a gap here. No, I don't think that's... You're basing it on hope. It's not, this is not enough of a gap. It has to be on the daily, and it's filled by a wick anyways on the daily. So we don't have any gaps being created. So fantastic for the bulls. Great job. Bulls are in control right now, 100% right now as we speak. Get a small pullback? Absolutely. No worries. But we've been talking about this overall trend to the upside. Now back to XRP. Thinking about XRP is that it looks like it's ready for a breakout as well, similarly even on the shorter time frames. Now, again, I talked about this 70% move off the lows. Huge. That's very characteristic of an impulse. We have a 5-way move going into wave 1, sharp ABC going into 2. We had a very strong support within that 78.6%, in between the 61.8%. Fantastic. Fantastic. 1, 2, very controlled WXY pullback here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going into that wave 1. Wave 2 could be completed. Really doesn't matter. We could get one more pullback if this is an A, B, C here as a WXY. So if we get another similar pullback, as long as we get supported just like we did it from the previous Fibonacci levels, absolutely fine, right? So this looks very bullish. And if you really look on the macro, we have been testing this BD trend line for the longest time ever, basically, and that is why I am looking for a possible breakout very soon, even if we do get a small pullback. And this is characteristic of Bitcoin's price action as well. We're getting a lot of ideas from the Bitcoin dominance as well. Bitcoin dominance is showing a massive, ooh, baby, mamma mia, everything is going in our favor these days, huh? Look at that, baby. Look at that. If you look at it, if we go back to my Bitcoin dominance chart, we've been talking about this ending diagonal coming into play for quite some time, right? For a few months, actually, right? Where are we at? Back in July, I believe. I don't even remember, but I've been talking about this move here ever since, and we've been looking for a 5-way move to the upside, right? Been looking for a diagonal possibility as an alternative triangle for wave 4, 5. This completion looks like a, whew, oh my baby, God, whoo. Golly. That's how you guys say it in English, right? Golly. If we get a pullback here, it's going to be huge ABC pullback, in my opinion. Bring the dominance back down to the 40% levels. Whew. Golly, man. It's going to be big alt season. It's going to be a big Texas alt season, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a big barbecue party in my backyard. So yeah, we're expecting a pretty large pullback for the Bitcoin dominance here. We're gonna see altcoins shine, but really it's gonna be about what altcoins you choose, okay? It's gonna be a big Texan barbecue in the backyard, ladies and gentlemen. Gonna have a potluck. Bring your ribs, bring your steaks, bring your hamburger patties. We're gonna have a big party if it goes back into the 40%. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then yep, party in the 40% levels. All right. That's why everything's lining up. It's just lining up so nicely for XRP, Ethereum, all of these coins in their cumulative phases, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking about, I've created this very important chart here. We've been in this increasing for this Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is increasing, right? We saw that going up. We saw Bitcoin also being stable. So that is what made these altcoins very stable. It's in their accumulation phase. So what's the next phase? Obviously, it's either one or the other, which is now going to be decreasing in the dominance. So if we're expecting the Bitcoin dominance to decrease like this, again, we're going to see we're seeing Bitcoin still increasing right now and the dominance decreasing. It's already going back into that phase. What does that mean? Massive alt season, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very simple process. You don't need to understand even the Elliott wave theory. This dominant cycle chart theory that I created and that everyone has copied is basically it's the meat and potatoes of this, how we're going to see this alt season. Now, many people are probably wondering, when is X-Force Global, when is Eric going to be a bear? When is Eric going to be a bear and actually think about going into a bearish position? You'll know. I was the biggest bear when we were talking about Bitcoin reaching 70,000, and I was expecting a huge pullback, and that's what we got. Don't worry, I'm going to be a bear when the time is right. It's all going to happen when we least expect it, but we are going to be one step ahead, both market psychology-wise and from Elliott wave theory perspective. So what's the next questions? How's XRP's sister coin XLM doing? Ha 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 ha. Yo, E. Is bullish when the Texan Axe comes out? It sure is, ladies and gentlemen. The broader market and macro sentiment regarding rate cuts and elections, historically, Bitcoin full sends. Do you ever factor in this and compare historical events to one another? Yes. Yes and no. I think these events are, very short-lived. They're going to have a big effect, in the coming weeks and then in the prior weeks and then the coming weeks afterwards, right? I think the election is going to have a huge impact. Whatever policies, I think it's pretty fair to say that both sides, I'm not going to try to get too political here, ladies and gentlemen, but I think both sides are pretty pro-crypto if you really think about it. It's just who can they pull more out of the crypto group, right? Maybe from capital gains perspective, maybe from just a taxation perspective, or who, from small to medium enterprises, whether are they going to be supporting smaller crypto projects? Are they going to be focusing, on the bigger blue chip coins, or, who's going to be more open towards the smaller projects, meme coins? Do they have any ideas about how meme coins will happen in the future? All of those, minuscule things do add up. So I think that the elections are going to have that kind of effect, but it won't be too big of an effect in my opinion. I think both sides are pretty pro-crypto in the sense that, we are entering the digital age of crypto, and a lot of people are going to be starting to think that crypto is a very important investment. Now, what that's can be a bad thing or a good thing, we all want to have the biggest pie, right? We want to be extending these cycles as much as we can because we love to accumulate these coins. But we are pretty much at a stage where if the presidents are talking about crypto from a large mass scale, then I think we're pretty much at market maturity phase, right? A phase where we might be seeing a completely different new phase going forward, and we might be seeing coins, for left and right dying, and also a lot of these old coins thriving. That's why I think XRP has a very interesting outlook, because XRP, we've had this argument from the SEC back and forth whether it's a security or not. Everything's in favor for XRP. A lot of these exchanges have recovered for putting XRP back on the markets. XRP has been accumulating for the past 6 or 7 years, higher lows being created. We've never seen that for any other coin, and I'm serious, we haven't seen any coin create higher lows for that long of a period. I think the anticipation is building up, so that's why I believe XRP also has its merits from a regulatory perspective. It's setting the framework, the early basics of, or early basis of the regulatory framework. And maybe a lot of people are going to learn from it, right? These smaller projects, Ethereum as well. We're going to be seeing a huge, that's why you got to choose the right coins, right? What coins are you going to be holding is going to be very important going forward as well. So that's why the risk also increases for these meme coins and all these smaller projects, so very short-lived in my opinion, very, very short-lived. You got to choose the right coins, grind as hard as you can in real life, make that cash as much as you can, and invest in whatever you think is going to be the biggest project. You don't want to be losing your money, so grind as much as you can. Grind it. I'm telling you right now, there's no better time to grind than now, because I do think that we're going to be entering a phase where the market maturity is going to be slowing the markets down quite a bit, especially the stock markets are quite hot right now. It's at all-time highs, right? SPX made a brand new high again. So we're at a stage where it's uncertainty again. We might see another push to the upside where we might see a lot of people, going shooting fireworks, in their houses again, basically thinking that it's going to be going for massive new highs. I'm telling you right now, no market goes up forever, right? So there is going to be an eventual stop, right? So make sure to choose your coins very, very carefully. And I'm here to give you guys my outlook. I do have a lot of selective altcoins. By the way, it's in my Discord membership. If you're not in it, or please don't hesitate to join. I share all of my coins that I believe is in a very good accumulative phase where we might be seeing a great breakout to the upside. I think that we might see a short-lived run on some coins, and when we should be getting out of the short-lived coins, that's all in the Discord as well. So, that XRP ETF is going to hit like crack. I absolutely think so too, man. If the ETF gets approved, I don't know. I think the ETF narrative is kind of out of the picture now. ETF, I think is, I don't know. Basically, we'll see. No offense, but Dodge has been around longer than XRP and is the only coin and oldest coin to have put in consistent macro higher and higher lows through all the cycles since 2013. Yeah, I agree. Dogecoin does have its merits in terms of the price action as well. If we look at Dogecoin's chart, if we see the historical charts, but it's very similar to XRP. It's not creating a triangle in the sense that Dogecoin has already created a triangle here, right? So this A, B, C, D, E, now this could be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 working as well. But yeah, I agree. Dogecoin also similarly works like XRP. It's distribution phases, distribution phase, breakout, breakout, breakout. That's what we're looking for. XRP is in similar state of affairs right now. And everyone has their own picks. I can't go every single coin, right? I can't call it basically for every coin. So yeah, we'll see how this next market comes. Now, yeah, that's about it. I mean, if there's any questions about Bitcoin, I'm happily to go over. I don't want to go over. I'm not sure why people do 50,000 live streams a day, but there's just no point in doing it. I think right now it's either up or down, and right now it's pointing up. So we're looking for further upside on Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Bitcoin is phenomenally doing fantastic here, right? Broke that previous high here. This move here down looked very bearish for a lot of people. It looked bearish for me too, but we were able to catch it. And now this move here, breaking this previous high. Your last only hope of option is rejection, and with a small leeway room left of 10% before it breaks the previous high. So if you're a bear in here, and you guys were all trashing, the bears that were trashing in the comments section of my previous videos, welcome to the bullish side now. I'm sorry, you might be liquidated at this point, but it is what it is. We're not here to fight. We're trying to find the general direction of where the markets are moving. Someone's asking a question on fib time. I know a few people do talk about fib time. Do you really want to apply fib times when you could already get a good sense of, even me as a certified Elliottician, if they don't even talk about fib times in general. It's just the overall look of these patterns, simplifying as much as you can. If you think it's too long in time, then you have a pretty good gut feeling it's going to be too long in time, and then you can confirm it with fib time. Maybe. But the general markets don't see that, okay? That's why we have distribution patterns for Bitcoin. They get resolved very quickly. Look at it. This got resolved very quickly. This got resolved very quickly. And in my opinion, we're going to be resolving this very quickly as well. This got resolved relatively quickly. This got resolved relatively quickly. Same thing here. Relatively quick distribution phases, as opposed to, the stock markets where it's just general moves to the upside, right? Bitcoin moves in very wild waves, right? So yeah, take it for what it is, these distribution patterns. It's just how it is, how I see the markets. I don't see this extending in further in time. I think we've completed this. And at this point, you're either extremely bearish or you're extremely bullish. Side with one side. If you're in a losing position right now, it might be time to get out because, who knows? Who knows? Steve is asking, yeah, man, Steve, you are keeping this live stream alive, man. So you're asking, do I think BTC will top before end of the year or early 2025? I think we'll go into 2025. A pretty good idea. We'll get a good idea. I think we'll get a lot of volatility where we might get some false signals thinking that the top is in. But I think we'll get a real good signal on when the actual move happens. We'll see. We'll see. Now, you also said, do you think that 3 to 5 BTC is possibly after this cycle? Sure. Of course. Why not? Absolutely possible. It's even possible now, right? If this flat is in play. Nope. But if that happens, we're looking for a 1-2 pullback, and that should be I don't know if I thought we'll go to $5,000. I think we'll come back down to retest the $30,000 to $20,000. I think that top is in now for sure, or that bottom is in for good. If we're going to be taking into consideration the algorithms and also the fractal nature of Bitcoin. So yeah, tired. I think that's it. I mean, I don't think there's too much to add. I mean, a lot of coins are looking pretty darn bullish right now. I mean, XLM is super bullish as well. Huge triangle, right? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You want to bet against it? Be my guest. So hopefully that was helpful, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you guys in the next video, possibly on Monday with a big update, hopefully at 70K maybe. We'll see. If not, I'll see if I can do another live stream during the weekend. Thanks for joining, guys and girls, and binary, non-binary, and robots. Thank you very much. See you guys.